snake. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg, and my arm, even my fingers. The body I've lost, the comrades I've lost, won't stop hurting.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up. You and your pride and your ego. You just had to be the man. If you'd done your job, known your place, we'd all be fine right now.
Hi everybody, today is going to be a different kind of video than what I usually do. That reason being that the situation with Helldivers 2 has suddenly been getting worse since the recent announcement on Steam that the game will be mandating creating a PSN account to play it on the Steam front.
Attention Helldivers. Due to technical issues at the launch of Helldivers 2, we allowed the linking requirements for Steam accounts to a PlayStation Network account to be temporarily optional. That grace period will now expire. See details below in this post. Account linking plays a critical role in protecting our players and upholding the values of safety and security provided on PlayStation and PlayStation Studios games. This is our main way to protect players from griefing and abuse by enabling the banning of players that engage in that type of behavior. It also allows those players that have been banned the right to appeal. As such, as of May 6th, all new Helldivers 2 players on Steam will be required to connect their Steam account to a PlayStation Network account. Current players on Steam will start to see the mandatory login from May 30th and will be required to have linked a Steam and PlayStation Network account by June 4th. PlayStation Network accounts are free and easy to set up using this link. https://www.playstation.com/support/account/create account for PSN/. We understand that while this may be an inconvenience to some of you, this step will help us to continue to build a community that you are all proud to be a part of. Many thanks for your continued support of Helldivers 2. Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Full disclosure, I do have an account on PSN and even bought the game for PS5 first before getting it again for Steam because I loved it as much as I did. Now, why is this mandatory account creation a bad thing? Well, for one, before Sony went in and changed that for some of their games needing an account from being an optional thing, yeah, this wasn't a gaslighting tactic at all, or the fact that PlayStation gets hacked and gaped more often than an escort on prom night, from recent examples being from September to October 2023, even dating back to 2011, one of the biggest breaches of all time. And I even know of someone, Dar of the Rage, I'll link his latest video in description, being one of the unlucky few to be affected to the degree of even losing their account. 2014 having hackers steal 100 terabytes of data, and 2017 having another hack. You'd think Sony would learn to have better security measures, but like I said, most recently, they got hacked in 2023. To say that having to link a PSN account with my Steam sounds like getting into bed with someone with a known and highly infectious STD would be one thing. But then there's Arrowhead Studios, which have been getting the majority of criticism from the decision from Sony to make this mandatory, with the CEO saying something along the lines of knowing that this would be mandatory if the Twitter posts have water to go by, making them look bad from a management perspective.
I do have a part to play. I am not blameless in all of this. It was my decision to disable account linking at launch so that players could play the game. I did not ensure players were aware of the requirement, and we didn't talk about it enough. We knew for about 6 months before launch that it would be mandatory for online PS titles.
Full disclosure, this is not backlash from my part to the studio. It just sounds like they had like I said, some poor management going on. To make matters even worse is that because of this being mandatory to make a PSN account, greatly affects the PC side even worse than I thought. But Battle, making an account is easy and only takes 120 seconds to do, and you claim to make one yourself. Yeah, and what about the 177 other countries that PSN isn't available in? Yes, PSN is only available in around 69 countries. To make it worse is that using a VPN won't help, because looking at a China player, China is one of the many countries not in the list I showed, but is apparently not part of the PSN ecosystem. One China player got banned because of using a VPN. To make matters even worse is that the 177 countries I mentioned, Sony is now removing them from being able to sell the game, and if it was already bought, then well shit. Got wham bam, thank you ma'am. Thankfully Valve is, from the looks of it, allowing refunds on the game even if the playtime is over 2 hours, which thank goodness Valve is so consumer friendly about this, because if they didn't, this would be an even bigger scam than it already is. To say that I am disappointed is an understatement, but another guy I know, called Spectre number 799, even went ahead the day before this fiasco started with dropping a fantastic video about Helldivers 2. I'll link it in the description for that particular video and his follow-up, and I know I'm gonna hear about the whole security argument for Sony account linking, but as I said earlier, that isn't a really good argument, and even then, the game has
The developer kicks things off by explaining that, while GameGuard is a kernel-level anti-cheat software that could even be classified as a rootkit, it's one of the more effective ways that the studio can combat cheating. The studio also emphasizes that GameGuard will not stay installed on a player's PC if the game has been uninstalled, and that the anti-cheat doesn't collect sensitive information about players, following global laws for user privacy like Europe's GDPR.
Kernel-level security, meaning that the game has access to your computer that would circumvent any attempts at cheating to a degree that made me not buy the game on Steam for a while because it made me feel a little uncomfortable. This was a game that set a standard for live service games that I personally hadn't seen till I played some recent games last year, and was a contender for Game of the Year. And this situation with this game and studio keeps on getting worse the longer it keeps going. The game, which had such a fantastic store on Steam, is now in the shitter, and the game is being refunded en masse, with these being the only options available to potentially get Sony to reverse this dumbass decision.
It's not like this is the first or even the 14th mainstream game to require a third-party account that takes a couple minutes to create, but if it's a deal breaker to have to take 120 seconds out of your day to enter an email and password and then forget about it, change your Steam review and make your displeasure known on a platform where it matters.
Even some of the devs, after having a moment of dumbfuckery, kinda encouraging this action so they can get Sony to reverse the decision.
Yeah, I was completely unaware how many countries didn't have the ability to make a PSN account when I made that statement. I deeply regret implying that it was so easy for everyone to just sign up and not have to worry about it. It's absolutely not our intention to force people to break Sony toes or just not play the game if they're in a restricted region. There needs to be a better solution.
Helldivers 2 was a shining example of how to do this type of game right, and in ways it still is. But because of how this situation is developing, I can only imagine how the average consumer feels about it. For me, I feel very bitter about it and can't look at the game without feeling some form of disappointment, which is also why I'm not using gameplay footage of the game for this video. And if the situation gets better, great. If it doesn't, well, I guess I have a game that I won't be playing again at the worst, or later in the far future at the best. This probably comes off as more of a rant than an actual video, but I felt like if I didn't get this out there in some form, I wouldn't be able to fully move on in good conscience since it's been bugging me so much. Now, I don't normally do videos like this, but if I seem at all interesting, consider subbing to the channel, leaving a like, or even a comment about this fiasco. I'm gonna go play some games that won't leave as much of a bitter taste in my mouth. Maybe a Yakuza game.
Is this the moment to tweet what? You guys don't have phones? Dizzy face, Dizzy. On serious note, we are talking solutions with PlayStation, especially for non-PSN countries. Your voice has been heard, and I am doing everything I can to speak for the community, but I don't have the final say.
Democracy. Our way of life. Oh, hello. But freedom doesn't come free. No! Sweet liberty! No!
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? This feels like a knife to the gut, to say the least. Pardon the pun. I'm ready. Depression, I'm ready. Depression.